Good morning, and welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester on this cold morning out there. Glad you're warm in here. We're a church of open minds and loving hearts, celebrating many sources of wisdom and many spiritual paths. Your faith, your doubts, your questions, your identities are welcome here. Special welcome to visitors and newcomers and those online. We're glad you're here. There's a preschool playroom open for young ones throughout the morning, and a special group time for kids following Time for All Ages today. After service, join us down in the Commons, where today is a special sign-up Sunday with old-school clipboards and sign-ups for groups and volunteering. There's a common sign-up to indicate interests and pamphlets and people and QR codes describing ways to get involved. So grab a bag and a booklet on your way in, and hopefully you can find some way to grow your soul and share your gifts here in community. Our January Justice partner is CERT, Community Engagement Response Team, using de-escalation and nonviolent intervention to disrupt violence in our community. You can give as the plates pass or anytime online throughout the month. Thank you for your generosity for supporting that good work in our community. You can join us each Wednesday night for Tupper Supper and programs for all ages. You can join us this week for a special viewing of the film Defying the Nazis, a Ken Burns documentary about Unitarians Martha and Waitstill Sharp and their work supporting folks fleeing Nazi Germany during World War II. There'll be a short discussion to follow as well. So join us for supper at 5:30, the film from 6:15 to 7:30, and then conversation to follow until about 8, and childcare is available throughout the evening. We hope to see you there. Today our service will end a little different. I'm just warning you now, but I invite you to stay open to mystery and experimentation, and to know it'll all be okay, and all will be revealed. So more to come soon. So I invite you to take a breath as we enter our time of worship together with these words from our minister in the 1870s, the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes. May our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. It's good to be together. Just a moment, the opening hymn will call us back, but before that, I invite you to rise in body or spirit and greet those around you.
In love. Rooting ourselves in love as the source of all we are, let us love. Acknowledging every person and all of nature as unique, important, and wanted, let us love. Learning that we are not whole until all beings are whole, let us love. Sharing and relating with one another as each feels comfortable, let us love. Working to be anti-racist and opposing every oppression, let us love. Drawing near to beloved community and this our one planet, let us love.
I'd like to invite the children and any youth actually who would like to come up as well today, because I'm going to need some help. So we are a religion of covenant. Can anybody help me remember what that means? We talk about that a lot in faith development. What does it mean when we make a covenant? To make a promise. It's a way that we promise when we are together. And the children and youth do this a couple times a year, in a couple different ways. We do it in the beginning of every church year in the fall. Excuse me. And for the last couple years, we've been using one that we started at Chalice Camp 2 years ago when we had a space theme, and it was based on what NASA astronauts, on their values. Safety, integrity, curiosity, inclusivity, agility, and teamwork. Now, some of those are pretty big words. And so when we talk with the children, we have some extra words underneath them. So safety is walking feet, be aware of those around you, and follow directions. Integrity is respect all humans, care for the earth and all creatures, be honest and fair. Curiosity, we are here to learn together, and questions are always encouraged. Inclusivity, care for each other and be kind in all you do. And then it has ouch, oops, and educate. And we talk more about that at the beginning of the year, and it just means that if somebody says something that hurts you, you can say ouch. And then the person who said it will often say oops, and then they'll educate and have a dialogue about what the hurt feeling is about, or what was said that hurt you. Agility, that plans change, right? And we need to be flexible. We talk about that a lot. And teamwork, take turns, do your part, and work together, because we talk about our shared space in the faith development wing and about how we are all responsible for taking care of it. And I don't care if the piece of paper on the floor is yours. What do? You pick it up. Exactly. Easy as that. So this is the covenant that the children agree to. We review it at Chalice Camp every summer also. You'll see a bulletin board in the back that has the children's names on pieces of paper and we sign them and then we staple it up, and that is how we make this promise every week. The youth is a little simpler because they don't need quite as much explanation at times. But if you turn to in your order of service, you'll see these in there too. But the youth is be here, be open, be respectful, and then I always add be safe. No, I think I added be respectful. I don't remember. Which one did I add? Be safe? Okay. And then be yourself. So these are what the youth do. And actually, when I lead a group of adults in faith development, this is kind of where I start also. Because really, if you're doing all of this, then you're making a promise of how you're going to be together. And these are hanging in every single one of our classrooms, along with the 7 principles, as a reminder, a visual reminder for our kids and anybody who's in those rooms that this is how we are when we're together. And it's a promise that we make to be respectful and to be working as a team at all times. So that's what it kind of means, very simplistic version of what it means to be a covenantal religion. We make promises to one another and to the community. So I'm now going to take the children and the youth, and we are going to go down and find out some details about this mysterious thing that's happening at the end of the service. So they will play the children's benediction, and in the back inside cover of your gray hymnal, you can sing along.
There's a big question that hangs over all of us. As far as I know, it applies to everyone equally. Some people claim disinterest or that they know the answer, but I think for the most part, they're bluffing. It might be just too big of a question or too heavy. The question is, where do we come from and where do we go? Birth and death. The youngest people and the oldest people, demographically speaking, are closest to that question. So it weighs heaviest on them. What often looks like restlessness or boredom might actually be difficulty with dealing with such a big issue. And to that question, there are 2 answers that we do here at church, and I think this is what church is about. One is teaching or doctrine, and one is community. Neither of these answers is exactly straightforward. Doctrines, religious doctrines, claim to be a very straightforward answer, but I think that mostly they're like colorful paint on a hot, mysterious rock. They're claiming that they're very certain and that they've got it all sewn up. But as we know, there's mystery in the middle of it. Somewhere in that package is mystery. The other answer looks like a complete non sequitur. To the question, where do we come from and where do we go? The answer is, we love you. Hold my hand. Let's get together, pray, and sing. Maybe tell stories. I think this is the most natural response in the world. It's what we've been doing since the very beginning. This is what we do. We get together. We tell stories. We've been doing that since before cities, before money, before even government. One of my earliest memories of church is my grandfather falling asleep during the sermon. I was maybe 5 or 6. I remember my grandmother giving him a little nudge so as to rouse him before the end of the service, so that he had enough time to get his stuff together, his self together, so he could stand up when we all stood up together at the end. I remember thinking, I'm a little jealous of that. He escaped for a good 20 minutes there. But also, that it was really nice what she did for him. Now, it's been more than 50 years since that happened, and I'm almost as old as my grandfather was then, or maybe even older, and he's been gone for almost 15 years. But I think that of that little nudge, that kind of sweet, I love you, down on below the belt, you know. The doctrines of evangelical Lutheranism were not what he needed that day, and they don't exactly work for me anymore either, but I understand their intention. My grandmother was just looking out for him, and I think she sympathized, like I did, with the urge to escape. Those sermons could be a little hot, a little severe. But what breaks through most for me, and what answers that basic question, is we're so glad that you are here. And I think we'll accept the collection.
invite you to take a deep breath. Breathe deep the breath of life. Feel below you the earth and its ancient turning, and above you the sky and the stars shining with ancient light, holding you in this moment, this breath. You yourself made of earth and stars. I invite you into this time of meditation and prayer, first by sharing silence together. Spirit of life and love, God and Gaia of many names and beyond all naming. Somewhere between the intensity of cold outside and the warmth of community, somewhere between dreading the political months to come and holding a skeptical hope of democracy and justice, somewhere between grieving the changing climate and still appreciating moments like this morning sunrise. We find our souls here, between each breath, between what has been and what yet might be, to find our center between and among it all. Help us know that any direction we go, there is the possibility for love to always lead us. Today we hold in our hearts Mary Mulholland Kafar, a new member whose wife Marcia has entered hospice care. We hold them in love. I invite you to bring the names you're holding in your own heart this day in joy or sorrow, and silently or aloud now in this time to speak their name. For the names spoken, the names unspoken, may we all be held in love and grace. These words of meditation are based on words from Sufi mystic poet Hafiz. Even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, "You owe me." Look what happens with a love like that. It lights up the whole sky. May it be so. Amen. The hymn is Circle Round for Freedom. Rose and Joe will lead us.
Circle round for freedom.
A reading from Antoine de Saint-Exupéry entitled Generation to Generation. In a house which becomes a home, one hands down and another takes up. The heritage of mind and heart, laughter and tears, musing and deeds. Love, like a carefully loaded ship, crosses the gulf between the generations. Therefore, we do not neglect the ceremonies of our passage, when we wed, when we die, and when we are blessed with a child, when we depart and when we return, when we plant and when we harvest. Let us bring up our children. It is not the place of some official to hand to them their heritage. If others impart to our children our knowledge and ideas, they will lose all of us that is wordless and full of wonder. Let us build memories in our children, lest they drag out joyless lives, lest they allow treasures to be lost because they have not been given the keys. We live not by things, but by the meanings of things. It is needful to transmit the passwords from generation to generation.
At the end of a long hallway, dimly lit among dark brick walls and old light fixtures, but throughout the year illuminated by the sun through the windows to the back parking lot, there was a banner I saw most Sundays leaving church when I grew up. "Worship has ended. Let the service begin," it said. It was a sentiment that has echoed for me over the years about how what we do in church, gathering, singing, rituals, opening hearts to music and poetry, breaking bread, sharing laughter and tears, is not meant to stay contained within the walls or hid under a bushel, as it were, but meant to move beyond the church building and out into the world, or at least toward the back parking lot and out that door. The word liturgy, an old dusty word that I love, to nobody's surprise, but you may think of it as the order of service, the arc of words and music that hold together and create worship. The word liturgy literally means the work of the people. Sometimes the work of the people is creating music together in song, or breathing deeply together in meditation or prayer, or the work of slowing down. Sometimes it's the work of opening the heart to inspiration or wisdom or beauty, or stretching your mind or heart, remembering we will always grow. There are old traditions of processionals, this idea of the liturgy moving out of the church. Some traditions have processionals that begin each service, bringing up holy items, processing toward the sanctuary, beginning and marking sacred time. And in some places, the processional, or recessional really, goes out of the building and into the streets for Holy Week or for festive beginnings to Mardi Gras or others. I met colleagues at Standing Rock who were priests at Trinity Church in Manhattan, the church at the end of Wall Street, who held regular processions out of the building onto Wall Street as a living reminder of Jesus' call and care for the poor, rather than the worship of money, a procession that called for flipping over tables of what is considered of worth in the world. My grandmother, I recall, never really liked preachers leaving the pulpit. Free-range preaching, I call it. She'd say it was built there for a reason. Most of the time, I abide by that. Sacred memory, Grandma. But some of my fondest memories of church were the moments of community, and in particular, when the pillar church leaders would take the time to weave their way down to the Sunday school classrooms and take their place in a tiny chair or on the floor and be with children. Love, like a carefully loaded ship, crosses the gulf between generations, writes the poet. So I remember Dave, who came down and spoke to us about how he makes mindful purchases because of his faith, wanting to make sure workers in the companies where he bought his shoes that he showed us had good wages and conditions, and that was part of living his faith. Or I remember as an adult sitting in a room in a circle with children with Carrie, who taught me about John Murray for the first time. Crossing the sea and igniting universalism, she sat on the floor with a toy boat and an ocean made of blue felt and put it out along the floor. I remember the child, Tilly, who taught me when we had to cancel class due to weather in my last congregation, the importance of ritual. As she said to her mother, well, if church is canceled, how am I going to find my center without doing my Zen tangles? Yes, that was just a really good reminder of what we did. Each Sunday, the children come into this space with us. And they take their place among this family of families, and they come up for a story or a message, and then we bless them on their way to their little rooms down the hall and up the stairs. And for the last few weeks, they have been expecting visitors, not told who the visitors would be. They might be expecting Brandi Carlile or Barack Obama. I hope not, because the visitors are us, and I hope they'll be pleasantly surprised. So we're going to end today's service honoring the space they've set for us. They've been prepping the space, finding chalices, setting chairs, cleaning up messes. Their space that they dwell in each week, the tiny chairs, the floors, and what they do in there each week is sacred, holy ground. And it is sacred, holy work that they do, just as much as our prayer or our song in here. So don't worry, we have logistics figured out. There will be guards on the edge of the common, so you can't just go to coffee hour early. We're going to process out. You'll receive a slip on your way out with a room, and there you'll have guides along the hallways to lead you into little groups around our faith development wing, and they'll lead a short ritual together. Those online will have a video of this too. We prepped and thought of you as well, so that video will play so you'll get a glimpse of it as well. And if traversing the hallways is a little too difficult, we have space in the hearth room. A group can meet there as well. I can't express how important the adults in my little child life, how important they were. And when they came to the Sunday school classrooms, what an impression it made on me. Maybe you have similar experiences too. When they'd just stop by or they'd teach classes, or more, when they'd give of their time and show up to show that these spaces were holy and sacred and worth their time and heart. So then, as you recall, the Commons is set up after that. So after our little rituals together, then you can go to the Commons. It's set as a reminder about what church is. Rather than a consumeristic individualism, it is about community, caring for each other, finding ways to be in relationship, of giving of our time or finding a group to be part of or serving in some way or nourishing our soul, whatever it is, creating community in support and care and joy. The hymn says, "For the children of our children, we keep the circle whole." So I invite you now to process out with me, to be blessed by the gracious hospitality of our youngest souls.
let's start our time together as we do every Sunday by lighting our chalice. We ready? This is the Unitarian Universalist Church. This is the church of the flaming chalice. This is the church of the open mind. This is the church of the loving heart, where friends come together and share. Thank you so much. So, just to remind ourselves how we act and what promises we make to each other when we're together, don't forget our covenant up here. We're going to be safe. We're going to be respectful with integrity. I love questions because I love curiosity. We're inclusive of all our friends. We're flexible because sometimes we need to change plans. And we work all together to care for this space. Right? And that's a promise that we make to each other at the beginning of the year. And every year we look at what our covenant is going to be. Sometimes it changes a little bit. Mostly it stays pretty much the same. Right?
Yeah.
I would like everybody to take a deep breath. We're going to do some sharing today, and I want you to think about what you have on your mind. What is one word in your head or in your heart that you want to share today? We'll just take a second to think, and then I'll go first so you know what to do. Okay? My name is Amy. My pronouns are she, any, and the word in my head today is excitement. Would someone like to go next?
I will.
Okay.
My name is Clara. My pronouns are she, her, and the word that is in my head right now is happy.
Good. Thanks for sharing, Clara.
My name is Louisa. My pronouns are she, her, and the word in my head is crazy.
Crazy? It's a crazy day? Well, that happens sometimes. And as our friends here know, we're going to have some extra friends here on Sunday, but we wanted you to experience a little bit of what we are doing when we're together. So when we finish here, we're going to get to go to some choice rooms. But before we leave today, I want to encourage everybody to be well, be kind, and celebrate diversity of everyone. So join us in this song, and we hope to see you soon.
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out